Dear learners, in this session, we will delve into the research paradigms, which are usually referred to as philosophical foundations. In the previous modules, we understood the evolution of business research and the various types of approaches. However, understanding the philosophical foundations of research also becomes important. As human beings, we all have a certain way of perceiving things. A researcher is a human being as well, and everyone has a different perspective. However, these perspectives must not affect the outcomes of the research or even the research process. It all starts with how a researcher envisions the research problem itself. In other words, we all possess certain inherent qualities or characters. These characters would have developed as we grew up. We learn certain things from our family during the early stages of life, and then as we grow, we also tend to learn from the society. These qualities do have an influence on the way we perceive the world around us. We start believing certain things that may not be true. For instance, consider a person who's frugal in nature. A frugal person is one who will prioritize money over other things. They believe in spending only on essential items. Generally, they are price conscious. When such a person undertakes research on consumer preference, they will definitely prioritize price over other aspects such as loyalty or brand image. They would believe that price dominates all other factors. This will impact their research too. They would also conclude the study as if price is the important factor that decides consumer preference. This might not be true. Hence, understanding the philosophical foundations of research becomes important. It refers to the foundational framework that defines how a researcher would approach the research problem. The framework includes beliefs, assumptions, principles, ontology, epistemology, and paradigms. Before delving into the philosophical foundations, it is important first to understand the fundamental concepts like reality and knowledge. Understanding these concepts is important as a researcher will have to conduct research with an open mind, setting the biases aside. Reality is crucial to research. So, what is reality? Reality is independent of beliefs. See, you might believe in certain things that need not be necessarily true. Reality is factual and verifiable. It is the truth. It is something that exists irrespective of beliefs or perceptions. In the context of business research, a researcher might believe that people prefer gadgets with innovative technology. However, the reality could also be that people would prefer simple and affordable technology. Along the similar lines, a researcher might believe that job satisfaction is due to competitive salaries. However, the reality can be work life balance or employee recognition. Hence, reality can contrast beliefs. Some of the key aspects of reality include objective reality and subjective reality. A thorough understanding of these realities is important. So, what constitutes objective or subjective reality? How is it important in research? Objective reality is measurable as there are metrics. It encompasses actual and verifiable aspects of business. For instance, studies that are related to financial performance, customer satisfaction surveys with quantitative scales, or stock price forecasting. All of these studies make use of measurable data and metrics. A researcher who believes in objective reality is most likely to choose a quantitative approach. While objective reality is measurable, subjective reality is not. Subjective reality is based on viewpoints and how information is perceived. For instance, consider a study on investment decision. If the researcher believes that investments are made based on financial performance or historical performance or market trends, then the data will be collected directly from the financial statements or stock market indices or beta coefficients. The researcher would use mathematical models or statistical techniques for analysis. Apparently, the researcher believes in objective reality and follows a quantitative approach. However, if a researcher believes that experiences, biases, or perceptions influence investment decisions, then the researcher would choose an approach that goes beyond numbers. The researcher would prefer to study the perceptions or their biases directly by conducting interviews. Hence, the researcher would adopt a qualitative approach, in this case, as the belief is on subjective reality. The point we are trying to make is that as individuals, you have your own justifications for selecting a research approach. However, what must be kept in mind is that the selection of a research approach must be based on the research problem, not on one's own belief. Above subjective and objective realities, a researcher must consider empirical reality while selecting an appropriate research approach. We also need to understand the concept of empirical reality now. In the context of research, the reality here means an empirical reality that can be observed and measured. Empirical reality leads to an evidence based understanding of the research problem. The decision to choose a qualitative or quantitative approach must be based on evidences. When a researcher selects an approach based on empirical reality, the research becomes credible. Empirical reality ensures that research is grounded and conducted in a scientific manner, while objective and subjective realities appear to give biased perspectives. Empirical research is more grounded and lays a foundation for scientific research. Now, let us explore the concept of knowledge. In simple terms, knowledge means to know. It means to understand or gain familiarity. Understanding comes from insights or information that is acquired through experience or education. Based on the knowledge acquired, individuals develop beliefs. However, it must be understood that beliefs that are developed need not necessarily be true. But the person who holds such belief believes it to be true. For instance, a researcher might believe that price is the main factor that affects sales. Another researcher might believe that brand image is the main factor. When beliefs coincide with reality, then they become truth. Truth is a reflection of the actual world. If a belief does not correspond with truth, then it becomes a false belief. How would you know that the belief you hold is truth? It comes from evidence and reasoning. You need to evidence to prove that belief you hold is true. These pieces of evidences need to be based on empirical data or information. Empirical data is factual data collected through observation, reports, experiments, interviews, surveys, etc. The mere gathering of empirical data will not suffice. Rather, the data so obtained must be analyzed using proper analytical tools to derive meaningful insights. For instance, if a researcher believes that more than half of the population in India invest in stock market, then this is a false belief, as evidences suggest that unlike in developed nations, only 17% of the population invests directly or indirectly in the stock market in India. This is from the work of Tiwari in 2023. I have also enclosed the references. Existence is irrespective of knowledge. Certain things could exist even if people never knew about them. For instance, a researcher conducting research on stock market forecasting fails to consider geopolitical risk, as they have not read about it anywhere. Since a researcher has not encountered certain things in their readings, it does not mean that such things do not exist at all. To conclude, in this session, we familiarized ourselves with the concept of knowledge, realities, and beliefs. We also learned the importance of empirical reality in research over the subjective and objective realities. We will continue with the philosophical foundations of research in the next session.